All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience. I'm sure Bob would need to see this for the traffic safety expert. If you were stuck in traffic this morning, I warn you. My River Road was my best friend this morning, that's for sure. Some of the folks are still trickling in from that street meeting down on Baker Road. But we'll certainly get started. If you want to take your tickets out before we start the program, we're going to give away some door prizes. We'll start with the first one. The number is 407-6049. 407-6049. All right. You got a prize for it. All right, for the second prize, the second one is $50 off Top Dollar. And that's anywhere. Ticket number is 407-6033. Oh, congratulations. All right, that's also included here in Charleston. All right, congratulations to you. All right, to start, we'd like to start the program. We're going to start the program with some welcoming remarks. First, I'd like to welcome Mayor John Labriola from the town of Kiawah.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody. For those of you that have participated in this, I believe 2 years ago or longer, this will be a good review. Good review to remember what we're supposed to do when these storms hit. For those of you that are new and may not have participated in the past, I think you'll be very impressed with the level of knowledge, skill, technical ability of these array of people that you'll be meeting. These cities on the eastern coast have become more and more sophisticated about these storms. I think we all have a good understanding about the level of devastation that they can create. I lived here for 12 years, so we've had, I'm not sure how many evacuations, but remember of it. But one thing about a hurricane from Michigan, so other than tornadoes and things like that, which happen rather somewhat spontaneous, you have an awful lot of preparedness. We know that storm's coming after these averages. You know, it takes a while to come across the ocean. So the level of awareness that a storm is approaching isn't necessarily a question. And the level of whether it's the level of where it will hit and the timing of where it will hit, it becomes really a point of importance for all of us. And you know, the state, county, and these communities, Kiawah and Seabrook, are just prepared so well over the years. It then falls back on us in terms of the individual homeowner, the individual resident, the visitor, friends or neighbors, in terms of how well we've prepared. So glad you're here, learn a lot, take advantage of all the knowledge that is here, and hopefully we'll go another year without any hurricanes. So thank you. Enjoy the day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to welcome Mayor John Gregg from the town of Seabrook.
And Chris, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you have seen this done before. Thank you for that. It is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the town of Seabrook Island to the 2022 edition of Disaster Awareness Day. As Mayor Labriola said, it's key for you to take responsibility for your own emergency preparedness. And part of that would be to develop an emergency preparedness plan and to gather the supplies that you may need in the event that we are subject to a disaster event that leaves us without things such as utilities and easy access to our everyday needs. You will find that there are many people here that can provide you additional information and help you with your individual preparedness and development of plans. And I encourage you to take the time to meet with the people who are here exhibiting and to chat with them to gather as much information as you can. And at the end of the day, hopefully you will come away from this session, this event, with a commitment to improving your own emergency preparedness. And so again, I thank you for your participation today and welcome you to Disaster Awareness Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, now I'd like to call up our panel of experts for storm preparation. The first one is Chief Deputy Fletcher King from the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. And Webster from Charleston County Emergency Management Department. Then we have Bert Walling, Berkeley Electric Co-op. Do a great job, because I have Berkeley Electric. If the power goes out, it doesn't take forever to come back on.
That's a good way to start.
Becky Dennis, Kiawah Island Utility. And Tommy West, Seabrook Island Utility. Tommy's not going to make it. We'll start off with our first question. I'm going to send this to Chief Deputy Fletcher King, Charleston County Sheriff's Office. Chief, what are some essential items that I should have on hand?
Good morning. With this, there's no 100% formula for you to have this, that, the other. So if you think you need it, then take it. That's the bottom line. So let's start with storm prep as far as hurricanes, or even a strong thunderstorm with straight winds coming straight line. That's just as devastating. If you need to get out of the area, making sure your car is full of gas, make sure the car is operational, tire pressure, know your route, the evacuation routes out of here, and the timing so you can leave in a timely manner. Other things would be a way to charge your phone if you get stuck in your car somewhere. The right cable for that phone. Clothing, if you're going to take your pets with you, stuff for the pets. These are all just common sense type things. There's no things you would leave behind as far as luxury items that would leave us, but the things you need as a necessity to get from here to Charlotte, here to Atlanta, to wherever you're going, because the things you're going to need are going to be there because you're someplace safe. You're going to be concerned with what do you need for that trip. And if something happens during that trip, what must I have? If you're diabetic or on some kind of medication that needs to be kept cool, a way to keep that cool. Dry ice, because ice is only going to last so long. And you're going to need that temperature to be low enough to keep that chemical viable until you get to where you're going to go. The small generators you can get that are battery operated, you can charge them up and they'll last a long time with multiple ports on them to handle plugging up your cell phone, plugging up an iPad so you can get information. The storm radios that are cranked and the battery is internal, so you don't have to worry about power to be created by turning it. Flashlights, flashlight batteries. It's just little things like that to get you from out of danger to where you're safe. And then wherever that place is, you can start getting more supplies to see how long will I have to be there. Cash is another thing, because if we lose power zones that were around for Hurricane Hugo, and have that lovely memory still etched in your mind, you couldn't access the things that you just took for granted. getting gas for your car, getting to the teller. You can't use your credit card because the machines aren't working. So keeping some cash on hand to get you from point A to point B, and then that traveling between point A and point B, that's not the overall answer.
So good information there. I was telling the chief deputy earlier, if your engine light's on now, it's gonna be on when the hurricane comes. So get your vehicle serviced, get it serviced. All right, now a question for Bert with Berkeley Electric Co-op. Why do the utilities seem to cut off even when the storm is mild?
Okay, that's always a tough question to answer, but most people don't like to hear the answer, but hopefully I can kind of describe why we do that. We haven't done it as many times as I guess, and I'm a 2-3 year veteran at the co-op. I've not done it yet here since my tenure, so I know in the past we have done that, but it's pretty basic. We have to cut the power off because I don't know if everybody knows this. Seabrook, Kiawah are all underground. You don't see power lines. And that was requested back in the 70s and the 80s. You don't want to see a bunch of, 3-phase metal power lines and nasty wood poles. So nobody likes to see that, right? Rural areas are going to be that way because A, it's cheaper to build that infrastructure. So that's up above 35 feet. So storm doesn't get 35 feet, please, we don't hope. But when you're on a barrier island such as this, everything is basically grade 4 feet, if that. So with that being said, underground is going to be much more havoc once the storm surge comes in. Salt water gets into those little green boxes everybody sees. If we kept the power on, that would be y'all would love that, wouldn't you? I mean, everybody wants power, right? So what we would do is we would say, okay, ours will stay on. You can have that power. More than likely, on an engineering aspect, that salt water is going to corrode, cause problems, and it's going to blow up a lot of things. And y'all know what blow up means. That's repair. And right now in the supply chain we're having, it could take you, it's taken us years to get those green boxes. So, proactive measure, remove all electricity in the secondary distribution boxes. What that does is no longer it's going to give any type of issue. Yes, it's going to get corroded, but we go in and work with St. John's Fire Department and then we wash it out. Then once we clear that, we can re-engage power in a matter of days. Instead of leaving the power on, it might be 2 months. So you may hate me at first, but you might like me as it goes on. So hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I know a lot of people are like, why do you cut the power off and we don't see nothing? That's why. Green box, salt water, electricity don't import. Y'all know that. So we do that. I go for that. Everybody thinks, well, your substation, power comes in. It's a 65-foot, primary from CNT Cooper. You got 35-foot coming into the island. Your substation is above the ground. It's not the substation. It's the box sitting in your house. So hopefully that makes sense. Not a great answer, but it's a good answer for you for get you back in your house in a matter of days instead of months. Yes, sir.
You need surge protection on your house, so when you turn the power back on, don't fry your appliances.
We always recommend surge suppression, and we offer that. That's $8 a month. We'll come out and put it on your house. Yes. So he asked, when we remove power and then re-engage power, yes, there always can be some form of a blow, is what we would say. I tell you what, to answer that question, if you know that we're removing power, we're disengaging power, cut your mains off. Does anybody know what a main is? Main breaker? Go to your breaker count. Top breaker, pull down. Most of these houses on this island are two panels, pull them down. Now you've isolated anything from the meter to our service, and then you can slowly cut things back on. Because sometimes when we do cut power back on, it may not go 100% because we're still testing things. We're hoping that we wash every green box out. If something, causes a problem, it may go out again. So great question, or great answer. Yes, sir. Good job. I should have said something like that. Any other questions?
So we're on the time schedules out.
Oh, I'm giving you back.
I got some.
I'll sit up here all night.
No, that's okay. No, the reason I say that because we have so many questions here, it might answer the question you're gonna ask ahead of time. I'm gonna pose this question to Chief Deputy Fletcher King and Ben Webster with Charleston County Emergency Management. What's the best weather channel to follow?
I was not threatened or intimidated in any way to say that. But it's a personal preference, whatever channel you wish to look at, whatever thing you decide to see, there's no one channel that's better than the other. So it doesn't matter, and that includes online. There's online services that you look at also to give you a bigger picture of what's going on. As far as the storm, the main thing is being informed that it's out there and keeping abreast of what it's doing day by day. The biggest thing, and I don't know, you might have to shoot me for saying this, the spaghetti models, don't get caught up when you start seeing those. The spaghetti models, when you see it on the news, they have 50 different colored lines going everywhere. That is for that day at that time. But people see it and they think it's going to be that way for a while. Every few hours, it changes. So it confuses you more than anything. So if you're basing, well, I saw the model yesterday and it's not coming here. And if you make it up in your mind, we're good, we're not doing anything, we're out of here. And then the next day you see it and it's a totally different model that's been sent out, and now we're smack dab in the middle of it. So be cognizant of those spaghetti models. Do not make that the decision-making tool you use. If we get to a point where we're a couple of days out, that's when we really need to start paying attention to what's going on. And if the governor ever advises that you leave, that's the best course of action. Leave. I don't want to get too deep into the.
No, I'm gonna ask them the same question.
Absolutely. Chief, thank you very much. There are a wide variety of weather channels to follow throughout the Charleston area, and all of them are very reliable. Now, so Bob doesn't hit me. But in addition to that, in addition to cell phone apps, we have the National Hurricane Center. And even more than that, we talked about power already a little bit. One of the things we really push and we recommend that you have, if you don't already have one, is a battery operated Noaa weather radio. That's going to be that extra line of defense. So when those cell phones don't work, that power doesn't work, and 4 can't broadcast up on the TV, it's a fallback to keep your family safe.
Thank you. All right, this is a question for Becky Dennis. All right, with all the new projects happening on the island, will there be a person in charge of making sure every work site has supplies, equipment, porta potties tied down and removed?
From the utility standpoint, yes. We don't monitor the other work sites. That's a town responsibility, and they have people that go out and do that regularly. And just to let you know, Tommy did call me and he apologized for not being here for those of you here from Seabrook. He asked me that anything I shared on the utility side, that it would represent what he would have said as well, because we do share the same common responsibilities. So if I answered that question right.
Well, you did. And also make sure everyone polices their own area up at home to make sure your chair doesn't go flying down the road. All that's projectiles the wind can pick up. Let's pass this question to Bert from Berkeley Electric so he doesn't cut my power off. I'll just play Bert. All right. Does having a generator make it safe enough to weather out a storm?
That's a tricky question. Depending on how you determine the actual storm, I always say safety's first. And I think if you are told to evacuate, I would take that and I would say evacuate. Just because you have a generator means, yeah, you may have power But like Miss Becky, she may not be able to store she has generators for her pump stations. But what if we can't get fuel? And I told you, yeah, you're fine, stay there. Generator's good. Depending on the size of your tank, 24 hours, depending on the load you're using, you could be good for maybe 2 days. But normally what we've noticed on the island, it's been way beyond 2 days. So I would take that, make sure that you kind of measure every line item on that. So I'd say the worst of the storm, make sure that you have enough fuel. I would make sure you continue to keep fueling your generator, but as it being safety, I would always say, if it's anything in a hurricane, I'd say get off the island. That's just my opinion. It's just that's the most safest thing.
You covered this next question in the first time you were, why is it necessary to shut off power before a storm arrives?
Yes, sir.
Our next question going out to Ben Webster with Charleston County Emergency Management. If the approaching storm is not too severe and we don't have to evacuate, what supplies would you suggest you have on hand in our home?
Absolutely, and the chief alluded to this already a little bit, but make sure you've got enough supplies for the first 72 hours. The first 72 are on you. And everybody's a little bit different, but for that base level of supplies, you can find those in the South Carolina Hurricane Guide that I know many of you have already. But medications, water, non-perishable food, ways to contact friends and family, ways to charge your devices, and way to stay in touch, such as that Noaa weather radio.
Two more questions for you, if you don't mind, 2 follow-up questions in the same paragraph here. Should we fill our bathtubs with water?
Absolutely. That's a question a lot of people have. If we don't evacuate, should we fill our bathtubs up, or if we're not going to evacuate because it hasn't been ordered? Well, in times of a storm and in times of significant storm surge or power disruption to pump stations and things such as that, you could have either a loss of water to the home or a substantial loss of water pressure. One way to have that extra water for things such as flushing toilets, maybe some minor cleanups, you can fill your sinks and fill your bathtubs. That is a viable option. But don't use that as a substitute for drinking water. Make sure that you have something that is bottled or galloned that you can drink from.
And the last one in this paragraph, should I have a hurricane supply kit, something of that sort inside of my car?
A hurricane supply kit, specifically for hurricanes inside your car, may not necessarily be the best option, but instead what you can do is have a general emergency kit. What happens if you're in a winter storm? Maybe you go visit some friends and family, or you do have a last minute, we've got to get out of town because of some sort of disaster, that hurricane's coming. Have that good supply kit, maybe with some blankets, jumper cables, some water, again, some non-perishable food that could stay in your car. And then also have that larger supply kit at your home ready to go. Because we all know in South Carolina, as soon as we start talking hurricane, what's everybody want to do? Run to Walmart and buy their hurricane. And it's probably about the worst time to do it because you're elbowing people and running over people with carts at Walmart. So have that ready on the front end.
I do want to remind everyone that was a good thing you brought up about the car. I was a trooper for 25 years. I can tell you how many times I stopped to help somebody change a tire. They don't have a spare tire, or they had the wrong spare tire from another car, the wrong rim, or they didn't have the jack, or they didn't have the lug rim. So please make sure everything's in there in your vehicle. You want to do it well in advance. Each and every day you want to make sure it's in there, but especially as before a storm approaches. All right, Becky, you want to give you one question here. In what ways can residents best prepare and protect their homes in the event of a disaster?
That's a great question. And those that have attended these in the past will know that I'm going to stress that everyone has their own isolation valve for the water supply. Now, every home is supposed to have that. I mean, code requires it, but more than probably 99% of the people don't know where their shut-off valve is. If you're going to be leaving your home, you should isolate your house, the supply line. If you don't know where it is, I would suggest that you go ahead now and have one installed. And I recommend installing it close to the meter box. That way, the whole line from the meter pit into your home is protected. That way, if a tree uproots and it takes that line out between the meter and your house, we're not wasting valuable water on the ground before someone can get to it. The utility company, excuse me, we have over 4,500 customers, so we can't go out and assist every customer. Like it was alluded to more than once already today, everyone's got to take responsibility for themselves. The other thing real quickly, I'm going to mention just in case we don't get to it, is that whether you stay or whether you get ready to come back, keep in mind that if you lose power, that means we've lost power too to our sewage pump stations. We have 53 sewage pump stations on this island that we maintain. And we don't have generators on each one of them. We have to take portable pumps. If you're pumping or you're flushing your toilets and you're running water in your home, it goes into those pump stations and there's potential for sewer overflow in the roads. That's the last thing we need. So please keep that in mind. If you don't have power, don't use your water to flush. It's a bad thing to say, but it is what it is.
Thank you. Look at our watch. We have just a couple minutes left. If anyone has questions for our panel of experts, I'd be happy to walk out to the audience. All right, sir, I see your hand up.
This is Kevin Boyle from Seabrook. I'm a new resident. So everybody's talking about evacuating. How far do you have to go to evacuate? And everybody's going to be looking to rent a hotel room someplace. So what's a reasonable expectation of how far you should go?
Ben, you want to go to the podium? Ben? I guess I have to stay in the audience.
That's a fantastic question, and that point gets brought up a lot, especially in regards to hotel rooms. You're absolutely right. With the emergency services that are both coming into the state to assist, as well as coastal residents that are evacuating, there is a very good chance that those hotel rooms could fill up very fast, especially along the interstates. Now, as far as a safe distance to evacuate, I have to give you the generic "it depends" answer. And what I mean by that is every single storm is different. The track of every single storm is different. The wind speeds, the storm surge, everything is different. So it's important as a resident to maintain that situational awareness on this storm so that you can make a reasonable decision and listen to what local news and what local officials say would be safe for that specific storm. Now, speaking a little bit on, and Bob, if you don't mind, just another 30 seconds or so, those hotels, have a plan A and try and have a plan B as well. So if plan A is your hotel, have some friends and family that you could potentially call and say, hey, hope you want house guests this week, to be able to go and stay with them, or somewhere that you could go a bit further than everybody else so that you could get that hotel. But don't rely on one singular area, even depending on the storm. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, sort of, because, I mean, is there a rule of thumb? I mean, like, is going as far as the airport far enough? Or do you have to go further than that?
No, you definitely still don't want to stay within any coastal evacuation zone. But you want to be able to monitor that storm and see where that track's going to be and get well without that track. Actually, in Hurricane Hugo, there were reports of major wind damage all the way up to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, well inland. So just monitor that storm and monitor that cone of uncertainty to be able to get out of that.
Because that lane reversal doesn't even start till next to the parkway. That's way past the airport. And if you look at a map and the storm is just touching Santee, you don't want to go to the other side of Santee. You want to go well inland. Number one, everyone's going to go there if you don't tell them. So just like you said, have a plan B. All right, we got time for one more question. Anyone have a question? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Is an isolation valve the same as a backflow preventer?
No, ma'am, it is not. The backflow preventer is on your irrigation system only. That does not shut off or isolate your house.
You have a garage wall, you have a garage.
Yeah.
So most isolation valves will not hold to fill without an exterior wall where your water line comes in. So it just looks like a little red hammer or something that. Or something like that.
All right, so we're gonna thank you very much for our expert panels. Thank you very much. If you take out your tickets, we have another set of door prizes to give out. We'll get this done and then we'll start with our next session. Our first one's going to be a Duracell LED lantern. He's going to bring the tickets over here. Our next session, once the door prizes are handed out, is communication is key. Public information before, during, and after a disaster. All right, so the first one. All right, ticket number 407-6031. All right, Mr. Rick. All right, next one's a portable phone charger and an all-purpose weather radio. Ticket number 407-6063. Do we have a winner? All right, second row. All right, first aid kit is 407-6029. All right, lady in the back row there. And so people don't get teed off. Anyone the first golf? We got another one. Top golf, $50 off. All right, it's 407-6056. All right, there you go. Congratulations. We'll start with the next session. All right, we'll start with the next session here. I'd like to introduce a few guests, our expert panel. The first one's going to be from the South Carolina Emergency Management Division, Mr. Derrec Becker. Brandon, that's okay. All right, also from Charleston County Consolidated Dispatch, 911, Kelsey Barlow. Chris Makowski, Communications Manager for the town of Kiawah Island. And Dan Kortvelesy from town of Seabrook, Island. Morning, thank you for being here with us today. We'll go ahead and start with your question. You're probably thinking about things I don't know for thousands. All right, I'm going to toss the first one over to you, Chris. First one is how and how often will I receive information from the town and the various agencies involved?
Yeah, so our goal when it comes to information is to get it to y'all as quick as possible. So around the clock, if something happens at 3 a.m., you should expect something soon after that. That's our goal when it comes to at least the town's communications. And usually when it comes to disasters, I'll stand up so I can see the folks over here. When it usually comes to disasters as well, and emergencies, we will go ahead and the town will usually be the one that first gets the information out, and the rest of the entities will go ahead and share the information within their respective contacts. But yeah, as quick as possible.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dan, I'll get into the next question to you. Do Kiawah and Seabrook give the same information out about storms?
Well, excuse me, yes, they do coordinate, they do talk to one another. I know the mayors quite often talk in conference to one another. See, they're all part of the conference call with the county and state emergency management people. So what happens is the information that you're going to receive is also shared through the emergency management people with the mayors, and then from them to us to you. So that's how that's coordinated.
Thank you. Kelsey, Barlow with Charleston County Consolidated 911 Dispatch. Kelsey, how do cell phones continue to work during and after the storm?
Greg's gonna have to answer that. So I'm actually the public information officer. I can help with communications, but he's gonna have to answer that call.
That's okay.
That one, sorry.
You got a chair for him right here.
I got dual panel.
Good morning, guys. So cell phones, the towers will continue to work as long as, I mean, they stay up. If the tower goes down, what happens is another tower picks up the overflow from the tower that's down, everything kind of transfers over. As long as we keep some towers up, we'll have service that will still come into the center. It's very rare. I don't even remember an occasion where all the towers have been down, even during a major storm. So one tower goes down, another tower kind of picks up the slack, so to speak, if that makes sense.
So Kelsey, I'm gonna ask you this. I'm gonna ask you this because I worked with Kelsey for a long time as a trooper. And I can tell you, we got this question, these two questions every year. So we're gonna get ahead of it now. Do you close bridges?
During a hurricane, Charleston County does not shut down bridges. So what we do instead is we issue a warning when max sustained winds get to 30 miles per hour. That's a code yellow. So we ask that people who have big trucks, box trucks, not drive across the bridges. There's no one that's going to stop you. If you do it, it's kind of at your own risk. At code yellow, we can run EMS routes. When the winds reach 40 miles per hour, sustained winds, is when we issue a code red warning. That's when we ask people to no longer drive across the bridge. And if you do so, you're doing at your own risk. If something happens to you on the top of the Ravenel Bridge, we kind of can't guarantee that someone will get out there because it's dangerous and we've asked people to stop. But we do not shut them down. We do a lot of river control on that.
Yeah, another question we always had every year, that one, and when do the lanes get reversed?
The South Carolina Department of the DOT, not the DOT, the public safety does that. So they do that after the governor issues the evacuation order, which Charleston County doesn't issue. We wait on the governor. And once the governor issues the evacuation order, the Department of Public Safety does the reversal.
Thank you. I know those questions come up again each and every year. All right, I'm going to send this question over to Brandon. Brandon, what mediums will be used for communicating with residents during an evacuation? Will it be email, text, social media?
Carrier pigeons, you name it, we do it. No, but so there's a lot of different ways to receive emergency information. Obviously, you can watch the news, which we'll always push, or you can go to the National Weather Service, which is really great. There's a local office in Charleston, so they have a lot of the very concrete scientific data coming in. And luckily, with something like a hurricane, you have days to prepare for that. So you're going to be getting information almost probably 5 days in advance, we're going to be tracking it and all that. So, stay tuned early on. You can sign up for things like Code Red on our website, secmd.org, and you just kind of turn on the emergency notifications on your phone for that. And it'll alert you when things are going on. Noaa weather radios are great as well. Facebook, Twitter pages for your local news, local weather service. We, with the state, help push out a lot of that information as well. So we'll piggyback off of them. I kind of describe SCEMD as everyone's Robin and everyone's Batman, and we're there to assist and wear ugly spandex and help them along the way. But sign up for everything you possibly can. Have the hurricane guide as well, which has your evacuation route. You open it up, 100 different folds.
That's this one.
Right there, you open it up and try to fold it. Good luck. It's like an origami thing. Yeah, so really know your route too. That will help you. Or just really stay connected. That's what we tell people: stay connected, know your route, and have a go kit just in case you do have to go. And there was a gentleman who had a question about how far you were going to have to drive. Geography-wise, expect 2 to 3 hours probably. So like Columbia, Greenville, and all that comparison for that as well.
I'm going to give that question to Kelsey also because she deals with the 911 Consolidated Dispatch.
So I actually run all the county social media pages during an emergency. on Facebook or use Facebook? What about Twitter? Okay, so we push all of our information out on our website, so charlestoncounty.org, on Facebook and on Twitter. I will say during an emergency, Twitter is the fastest way to get things to the anchors to read on air. So when we have emergency information that needs to get out quickly, they will read what I'm writing on air. And in real time, I see it, I write it, I put it out, they read it, which is really great. It's a quick way for us to get emergency information out to you guys. I realize that not everyone uses social media. So charlestoncounty.org, which is our website, it runs our Twitter. So you can read what I'm tweeting on our website if you don't want to use Twitter. Facebook, it gets updated as well during storms. It's a great place. I would suggest that you follow the county for a plethora of reasons, but especially during an emergency. We always put out important information on Facebook every day too. One other option that you have is to sign up for our citizens alert system, Everbridge. You can do that on charlestoncounty.org on our emergency management page. That way you'll get alerts right to your cell phone when there's any kind of an emergency event. If the governor were to order an evacuation, if you're signed up for that system, we will send that notification right to your phone. If you're not on Twitter, if you're not on Facebook, if your TV is out for some reason, your cable's not working, you can get that right on your cell phone.
What was the address of that again?
So if you go to charlestoncounty.org and then go to the emergency management department, it's called a citizens alert. You'll see a button for it on that page.
Thank you.
I'll speak for the town of Kiawah. When it comes to information and the different ways that you guys can go ahead and see that information, I'll kind of piggyback. It's everywhere. Usually we'll start with a e-blast, to get that out to the residents. Our e-blast has most of you guys on it. If not, please email me at cmakowski@kiawahisland.org and I will go ahead and get you added. But we will go ahead and send out e-blasts initially after we receive the information. But we'll also go ahead and post it on our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. And then also, any other type of communications that we will need to put out in this sort of, depending on the emergency, we will go ahead and do as such.
Well, you might as well hold the mic. Yeah.
Yes, with regards to Seabrook, we depend quite a bit on the internet. So therefore, our webpage would be updated with all of the alerts that were given out. We do have a Facebook page, we do have a Twitter page. So please get on those sites now. One of the other things, just like to mention, there is a lot of places to receive information. We have on Seabrook Timelines. They will also put out the information after we do, so make sure that you sign up for that. Sapoa will send e-blasts soon after we get the information out to them. So if you're not sure about getting the town's things, you look for Sapoa's, look for Timelines, and so on. And again, look at the information from the local news channels. One of the things you want to see and hear about is when is everything at Freshfields going to close? They will close maybe 2 or 3 days ahead of time as the storm approaches. So if you think you're going to get food or whatever, make sure that you get some information from them. I know Timelines has put that out in the past. When the local gas stations are going to close because they don't want their people in harm's way. When are banks going to close? Trying to get that information. So there is multiple places where you need to go to get information. The town will provide the basic evacuation and emergency things, but also try to get things that are happening in the local area. What roads are closed? I can remember during some storms, there were flooding conditions. So if you were thinking about going someplace, forget it. The roads were covered, whether it was Bohicket and Maybank, that was closed one time, and River or Main Road and Savannah Highway, that gets flooded sometimes. So, try to stay ahead of the game and plan accordingly and get these sites up on your phone or on your tablet or somewhere that you can access them readily.
I can tell you, I keep up with traffic for ABC News every morning and then during a storm or hurricane, ice storm, everything. So if you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, I'm TrooperBob_SC. All right, we'll give this to Chris here. This next one's actually for the both of you, if you want to add anything to it. Will helpful tips be sent out to prepare your house for a hurricane? For example, shut off your main water pipe, drain your pool, put trash cans in the garage, or lock them down.
Yeah, so my team and I are working really hard to prepare for hurricane season coming up. And we have multiple different avenues that are going to be coming out of information that you guys will be seeing, with helpful tips, infographics and stuff like that. That would really be able to be helpful, when it comes to what you need to kind of prepare and what you need to put away and keep protected. But yeah, we as a town will be sending out a lot of information when it's e-blast on our socials and just maybe even physical copies as well throughout the island. We will have our Toki hurricane preparedness flyer being prepared right now. We'll have that out to the community soon.
Yes, just echoing those sentiments, we will send out a lot of information. If I could also recommend, if you haven't already, the South Carolina Emergency Management Division has a phone app that's just started this year. I don't know if it started. I found it this year. Let's put it that way. But it gives you checklists on what to prepare, all the different things that you need to be aware of. And it's geared specifically to preparation and before the storm, gives you different sites to go to. It is the South Carolina Emergency.
Right here.
Okay, so your phone app is.
It's the best thing I've ever seen.
Yes,
That's not
I agree. I mean, I've been through several. You didn't have to pay me to say that, but I've been through several evacuations, and this resource, when I found it, was like, wow, this is really good. Where have you been all my life? You could go to the App Store for if you have an iPhone, or to Google. What's it, Google Play? Yeah, and just put in South Carolina Emergency Management Division, and up it pops. And download it on your phone if you haven't already done so. It's well worth the time. And if you want to say more about it.
I'm going to pose this next question to you, Brandon, and it actually covers that topic. In the event of a disaster, what helpful tools or resources will be put out by SCND?
It is really a great, if you guys are downloading it right now, you're gonna love it. It's a free app. You can download it no matter what kind of service you have, what kind of phone you have. It allows you to set up your emergency kit. It shows your evacuation routes. If anyone here picked up a colorful copy of our hurricane guide, everything is right there in your phone, in case you lose that. But it's very easy to access. It shows you where you're gonna go. Again, follow your local counties, your local cities, your local towns on their social media, sign up for whatever alert systems they have as well. Because we really piggyback off of what they do to some degree. But yeah, so the app is great. The hurricane guide is amazing. Have that emergency plan. A lot of people don't actually have a plan in place. Make sure everyone knows where the emergency kit is, where you're going to go to have to evacuate. And I'm sorry if you see me on TV later this year and I say you have to get out of Dodge. But know where you're going to go and let someone know where you're going to go as well.
Kelsey, I'm going to put either one answer this next question deals with cell phone service. How long can I expect to have cellular service if the power goes down at the towers? Then also, how else will authorities be communicating in an emergency if there's no cell phone or internet access or AM or FM radio station?
So for the cell phones, one thing I want to reiterate too, and I know I spoke to a lot of you at the table. If you would lose cell phone service for some reason, if your phone's not working wherever you are, and you still have internet service, go on to 911helpme.com. I know I gave you guys a lot of that on that pen. That's smart 911's on the pen, but on that bookmark, 911helpme.com. You can go on that website, put in your address, put in the free text box what your emergency is, and that comes directly to the center via the internet. I mean, it's very, very rare. I don't want to say it's never going to happen, but it's very rare that we would lose cell phone and internet service. But 911helpme.com is a great tool to use for another form of communication. We have a very sophisticated radio system in Charleston County, actually throughout the state. The Home at 800 system is phenomenal. And we have multiple redundancies in place to where if we would lose one channel, we go to another channel. We lose that channel, we go to another channel. So communication, for everything to fail, there would have to be a lot of factors happen for something like that to go down. But so communication wise though, 911helpme.com is great to use. If you find that your phone is broken and you can't call, you can text 911. Just simply put the number 911 into the to field, type your message, give us your address, what the problem is, your name. We'll communicate with you that way. We'll text back and forth with you. One other thing, Bob, if I could just want to reiterate, when you do call 911, we're finding a lot of people, if they don't get answered within the first 5 to 10 seconds, they like to hang up and call back again. That just keeps putting you towards the bottom of the queue. So when you call, stay on the phone there. It's going to ring. You're going to hear a recording come on. That recording is going to tell you that you're going to be connected to an operator. Especially when we have a major situation going down, there's only so many of us. There's only so many of us that can get to you, but we're working as fast as we can to get through every caller. Especially if we have one tree down on Bohicket Road like this morning. I'm sure you know everyone passing that tree probably has a cell phone to call and tell us about that tree. Probably 50 people. So if you do call, please stay on the line and we will get to you. Just don't hang up. That just puts you towards the bottom of the queue.
Thank you. Dan, I'm going to pass this over to you. This actually goes to you and Chris because you're neighboring towns here, so both of you can chime in on this one. The question is, have the towns ever considered having an order form for a kit of any storm essential items that homeowners might need?
Well, like I said, if you go to that app that we just mentioned, there is a checklist on it of what you would need to put in your kit to prepare for any weather-related emergency. So that would be the best place to find it.
Yeah, I'd piggy off that. And then also when we send out our information, we're planning on having a checklist that you can physically, check off and have in your kit when it comes in, so you're fully prepared. But yeah, I would piggy off that as well.
These hurricane guides, they're actually on the back table there. And you can pick one up. I want to pass this question to Brandon. One thing I found when I was a trooper is the first thing people want to do to get out of town is put it in GPS, Columbia, I want to go to Columbia. So everybody's going to go on I-26 because that's what your GPS is saying. But that's not the routes we need to go. We need to know your zone for your area. Right now, if we wanted to go to I-95, there's several different ways we can get there. We all don't have to jump on the same road. So I want to ask you about that. How important it is to know your zone.
I mean, seconds really matter in any kind of emergency. It really could be life or death, or it could save you just a few moments to get you to safety. Oh, is this not working?
Working now.
Is it working now? We're good? Okay, good. Sorry about that. I can scream if that works too, but.
Just got to hold a little closer.
A little closer, yeah. I don't want reporter days to come back. But yeah, so knowing your evacuation route beforehand is huge. Look it up when you leave here today. If you haven't really looked it up, it'll show you where you live, your zone. You can also go online at seemt.org, enter your address there as well under the hurricane planning section. And know your route, because there is going to be some select routes to get out for safety, and everyone's going to be trying to use them. So, when you find your route, find your zone, actually drive it once. Obviously you can't drive backwards on a lane that's not reversed already, but kind of know how you're going to get there to that initial route so you can get out and the safety, really practice it. A lot of people don't practice these plans, and you really do have to practice for an emergency. I suggest several times throughout the year, so you kind of know how to act when one actually comes into play. And it is going to be an above average storm year. That's what they're predicting this year. We've been very lucky across this whole region the last couple of years with everything going on that we haven't had a major impact yet. And they're afraid they're going to run out of storm days this year. So take this seriously when we have the time to do it in a calm manner.
And those hurricane routes are the ones where you see the hurricane sign, the man routes, and they're also, those are the ones that are manned by law enforcement, DOT. They will stay on those routes, making sure all those roadways are clear.
One more thing that the governor's office mentioned last week during the press conference is that Google Maps won't actually work for your evacuation route. So like Brandon said, practicing, if you Google Map out to get out of Kiawah, it might not take you the way you should go, which could add a lot of time to your drive. It could be much more of a headache. You could get turned around by someone, you know? So they recommended using 511. So just FYI, if you're trying to get out of town, use 511 instead of Google Maps.
The 511 has a website that you can go on and go that way as well.
Yep.
Brandon, I want you to keep the mic for this question because it applies to you. We all hear SCEMD, but what role does SCEMD play in the event of a natural disaster?
Yeah, you know, we're very fortunate along the coast, no matter where you live, we have a lot of experienced people who have been through a lot of these things and kind of know what they're doing, which is great. But we are there to assist. So we help bring in resources, whether it's people like me, public information officers, to help man social media, do the interviews, write press releases, work with other PIOs, the local PIOs here in town. And we can help them get resources as well. And it could be anything from meals to water to, you know, helping Red Cross get here too. And that's a forgotten one, I think, here today. They do so much and help us as well. But we're kind of, like I said, Robin, and everyone else is Batman and we're there to assist. You'll see us a lot during these emergencies.
Kelsey, this next question deals with 911. All right, during a disaster, high call volumes can be expected when seeking 911 services and dispatch. In what ways does Charleston County Consolidated 911 dispatch alleviate these issues?
So we ask that people only call 911 for an emergency. That is to report a crime, report a fire, if someone is hurt in your home. If you see an alligator walking down your street, we ask that you do not call 911 for that. If you have a water main pipe burst, the biggest thing we get is people's power go out and they call 911 to test to see if their phones are working. And that ties up a line. During a true emergency, we ask that people don't do that. So here's the catch is we have a very lovely staff of Citizens Information Center. We have several people who are well connected and have answers to your questions. And if there is an alligator walking down your street, can direct you to the right person to call. Or if you do have a water main break, they can look up the water department number for you very easily if you're having internet issues. They are there 24/7 during a storm. We always get that number out on all of our social media channels. You can write it down now, but it's not staffed during a non-emergency. So once we activate, it'll be staffed. That number is 843-746-3900. And for Spanish, it's 3909. And it, like I said, it's staffed 24/7. So for all non-emergent calls, where can you get sandbags? Has the governor issued the order? Are we closing bridges? They will have all those answers for you.
I see some people write those numbers out. Can they find us on your website also?
Yes, that's also on our website. And we always push that number out through social media and TV stations when we activate it. But again, it is not activated when we don't have emergencies. So if you call, it's not, there's no answer right now, just during emergency.
Sure.
Sure. It's 843-746-3900 and 3909 for Spanish. Yes, our website is charlestoncounty.org. And then if you go under departments, our emergency management page is where you can sign up for those alerts.
All right, this last question.
Oh, sure. Just one thing before we get to the end. We're talking about communication and communication of how we get out information. One of the things that we mentioned for Seabrook and so on is the internet, Facebook, and all the different web pages and supporting guidelines. One of the things to keep in mind is after the storm and communications after the storm. I'm assuming that everybody here is going to be smart and evacuate. So now you're going to be evacuating. It's going to go on day 3, day 4, day 5 maybe. And you're going to be anxious to get back to your home, to see if there's any damage, to see if everything is okay. And what might happen is that the evacuation order might be lifted by the governor, but we have still situations of trees over roads on Seabrook and on Kiawah that won't allow all the property owners or homeowners to get back on the island. So please, it's important that you pay attention to our web pages and all the different communications that the local people will provide, so that you don't come back and get turned around, that we can't get you in because of still hazardous situations. All right, so I just wanted to mention that.
I'll jump in on that. Yeah, I think communications is just as important after as it is before, because, you know, we all want to get back to our homes, but we want to do it safely and as effective as possible. So, you know, the town is committed with working with all the entities to get the communications out as quickly as possible, and, you know, as accurate as possible when it comes to times and, you know, dates when you can come back home.
Last question here. Is it gonna go to Brandon? How can residents best prepare for a natural disaster versus a hurricane?
Yeah, hurricane's a little different, obviously, because the evacuation potentially is coming. A lot of the great thing about what's in your hurricane guide and the emergency supply kit that's in there is pretty much generic for almost any emergency. So if you fill up that guide or that supply kit from that guide, you'll be pretty much prepared. You know, things like tornadoes kind of happen in seconds. You know, those just happened not too long ago across the state. It's hard to really plan for that. Some with the hurricane, though, this is the time now, like I mentioned, you know, today's a blue sky day, as we like to call it. Take that time now. You know, natural disasters, I mean, we really kind of get a little bit of everything in South Carolina. Don't say the E word, we've been quiet for a while.
Well, I'm just thinking of natural.
Yeah, you know, we get a little bit of snow, we get a little bit of ice, and, you know, I think having that plan in place, that emergency plan, you know, who am I gonna go to? You know, where's my emergency kit? Practice that. I mean, it's really those three key components, and that will pretty much have you prepared for anything that could potentially happen aside from aliens landing, which could be very possible.
Are we have time for 1 or 2 questions? If anyone has a question for our expert panelists? Yes, ma'am.
So let's say my husband decides.
Can you use the mic so everybody else can hear?
So let's say my husband decides he doesn't want to evacuate and I leave with the dogs. Does the town want to know who's staying behind? This is Seabrook.
Right now, I don't believe we have a way that to monitor that. If it's evacuation and if you are, an evacuation order is given, we are assuming that everybody will evacuate. That's what we recommend. That's what we want to happen. I'm sure I just saw the chief here. Yeah, there he is. And he can speak, I mean, emergency services, he brings the, where do you bring the fire equipment again?
Sure. So Ryan Kunitzer, Fire Chief, St. John's Fire District or Fire Department. So in the past, we haven't really had a list per se or a contact or a way to aggregate on who is all staying. We have a pretty good idea of who's we have a pretty good idea of who's staying and who's not, just by kind of driving around a little bit and activity in the islands. So we have a decent idea on that. I think in our next portion, we'll talk a little bit about if we've got specific requests or you need help or anything like that, and I can address those then as well too. But and not to expand further until later as well. We usually, depending on the severity of the storm, will take some of our assets off of the island due to flooding and wind as well too. So the availability of emergency services may not be there depending on the severity of the storm until we can return on those islands. So when you take that into account for an evacuation, remember that we may not actually be in our physical fire stations during the storm as well, for the safety of our people, for the safety of everyone, and our equipment as well too. Does that answer it?
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. You know, one thing just to add to that, we've been working with, for us on Seabrook Island Village, to get some of the people who have medical needs, senior citizens, and they're working with to get them on at least a list that we can share with the fire department or EMS, so that they at least know these people have serious medical concerns, you know, they're senior citizens, and even if it's just before they leave the island to go around. So we're working on that right now. That's one of the next steps of people that really need help to get it, so.
All right, let's give a big hand, round of applause for our expert. One more question. Yes, sir.
I live on Seabrook, but the question is, okay, most people who are here have 2 cars. What do you do with your second car when you're leaving? In your garage, you move it to some high
So
ground?
actually, the county and the city open garages. I know that's not super helpful for you guys out here, but the county has 2 garages downtown that we open for free. So if you'd like to park your car, you can do that in one of our garages.
It's not on my evacuation route.
We would recommend that you do that early when we open them. It's just an option.
Just to, for Seabrook, we have identified areas that are typically high ground by the lake house and so on. And I know people have parked in that area, but when you're getting large storm surges and so on, there's no guarantee that your second car obviously will be safe. But I'm just saying, Seabrook will identify some areas that are typically high ground.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to stay on time. All right, you get your tickets out. We'll give away some more prizes. Thank you, sir. Thanks. And then we'll move on to the next session. And while we're doing that, while we're waiting for the prize, I'd like to introduce our next panel and have them come up in the meantime. This is deals with evacuation. And the first one is Captain Mike Burrell, Charleston County Sheriff's Office. Ryan Kunitzer from St. John's Fire Department. Gregg Harris, Director of Public Safety, Town of Kiawah Island. Derrec Watson, Director of Public Safety, Charleston County.
We can handle. Okay, this question.
Sure. All right, for the first prize, the ticket number is 407-6066. All right, the first row. Congratulations. All right, we have another all-purpose weather radio and portable phone charger. $407-6047. We have a winner? Yeah, gentleman in the back row. Congratulations. I know somebody can see me at a gas station tomorrow and say, you didn't pick my number. I turn my head, man. I turn my head up being fair. All right, cool. That's it for that. Thank you very much. All right, we'll start with the next set of questions for our panelists. Let's look at the fire district for this one there. I'm going to give you the first question there, because you deal with this a lot. What does it mean when it's stated that I have to follow the evacuation route?
Sure. First, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here today. I know it's a time commitment, and we seem to, talk about this a lot, but we don't put it in practice a whole lot. So hopefully we continue to do that. But it's good to have that in front of our minds as well too. So we've talked a little bit about evacuation routes as well too, and this may be a good question for the sheriff's office too. Is Basically how these evacuation routes are designed is to get traffic moving freely. I know, I forget what hurricane was, but there was a parking lot on I-26.
Hurricane Floyd.
Floyd.
I've
Parking lot of people. Yeah, I think, I can't speak for the governor's office as well, but I know there's been a push to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So it's important to follow those routes. I know some of them push us even south of here or through I-26. So again, those routes are important to follow out of town based on the design of traffic and the immediate need of who's utilizing them, and then the resources on those evacuation routes as well.
You know, I can tell you, you walked in here late, I was on Highway Patrol for 25 years. I was there for Floyd. And before Floyd, we didn't really practice the hurricane evacuation. But after Floyd, you can see every year it's practiced. And especially on those routes, that the hurricane routes that they're manned by law enforcement, they're manned by the DOT. We actually team up also with the National Guard. I still think I'm on Highway Patrol. They team up with the National Guard. They also have big records on certain roadways too. So if the roadway gets, tractor trailer gets stalled or crashed, they clear those roadways out quick, especially with the local departments, to get that traffic moving, because the key is to keep it flowing. All right, I'm going to send the next question over to Gregg. Oh, the next question is, in the event of emergency evacuation, why are residents not able to go where they want to go when they want? I just read the question.
Imagine this. How many people actually are raising? I'll take this. How many people actually experienced hurricane in the past? Raise your hand. Okay, everybody look around. Raise your hand real high. Okay. All right. The thing is, the last thing we want on our table is to explain to your loved one why you are not here. Okay. And just like we talked about earlier, the parking lot on 26, we learned a lot of lessons about that. So they have established a better protocol so that you can actually, leave when you're coming from leave your residence and have a choice of where you want to go before you get close to that town when you have to only go south. But the thing is, we do not want you guys to get caught in a situation whereas we have deputies and other officials on this island, but when it gets to a certain level, we gonna leave us as well. Life comes first. Safety and preserving life. So, but you have a choice within, I believe it's within 72 hours. I think it's category, not category, Opton 2, where you actually have a choice to leave. But once again, it'd be a voluntary. But once you get to that level, whereas it's mandatory, there's only one direction you can go, and we all operate together once the government makes that decision.
Thank you very much. Captain, I'm going to give you this next question. No. It actually deals with traffic.
Sure.
What happens if traffic's backed up for miles to get off the island?
Somebody tried to get here on River Road this morning. How long did we sit in 4 mile traffic, bumper to bumper? A while, didn't we? I'll tell you right now that if a storm is coming, the sheriff's office will monitor each and every intersection in Charleston County. We will assist the city of Charleston, but more importantly, especially for Kiawah and Seabrook, we're going to monitor Betsy Garrison and River Road. We're going to monitor Maybank and Bohicket, Main and Chisholm, where River Road comes into Main Road. We're definitely going to have a ton of people at 17 in Main. All right. So if the order comes out to evacuate, we're going to be there. So monitor when Jim Cantori shows up from the Weather Channel. You know it's serious and everybody's stress level goes to about a 4.5. But it's, and just remember that if you hear that storm's coming, and like we're talking up here right now, if the storm is gonna hit Savannah, it doesn't make any sense for you to evacuate and go south. So we will get you off the island. We will either turn you left on 17 to go towards Savannah if the storm's gonna hit here, or, you know, McClellanville, Myrtle Beach area. But everybody, we see it all the time. Everybody only knows one way to go. This is how I gotta go. This is the way Waze or Google Maps is telling me to go. Listen to us, because we got the same stress level. We're not leaving. So now I'm worried about my dog and at my house in North Charleston, and I'm trying to keep you safe so you can come back to your home. All right. It's important to evacuate, but we'll get you out safe, I promise.
Thank you, Capt. You know, it's so important, like you said, to know your area, know your zone. It's on the map, knowing your area, because I'm gonna tell you, my mom worked at Sanctuary for 13 years, excuse me. And if there was an accident on Main Road, she knew just one way to get to Somerville. I was like, Mom, take this road. She's like, I don't know. She would park the car and wait until the accident cleared and continue. You don't want to do that. You want to know, be familiar with your area, because there's other ways around it. Just like today, we all took River Road to come around that accident. Got here a little later, but we weren't standing there and stopped traffic. All right, Mr. Eric Watson, Director of Public Safety for Charleston County. I've known Eric for a long time. We started at the jail together. We were inmates, we worked at the jail. No, I'm so happy you could make it today. I'm going to send this question over to you. Many people have stayed during the past 2 storms, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's reality. Okay, so a lot of folks, once the governor issued this executive order to mandatory evacuation, we all, as first responders, we always know that there is that group of people. I don't care what you say or what you do. My mom is one. You're going to tell them to evacuate. Category 4, 5, whatever the case be. They will not leave. So we learn to accept that. But the reality is, once that storm hits, first responders will not respond, will not come onto your house, will not come on to safety. So we always try to encourage everyone, 3 days on out, start with a voluntary evacuation, get out while you can. Mandatory evacuation, get out while you can. Once that storm hits its peak, first responders, law enforcement, EMS, firefighters, emergency management, search and rescue, I am telling you, we will not come out to save. That's just a reality. This is why we give ample warnings well in advance, because we just cannot put our first responders' life at jeopardy, because once storms hits and pass, we need them. We need them. So we highly encourage everyone, if you're not going to leave, contact your relatives or next kin and make sure you tell them, hey, I'm not leaving. I tell Mom all the time, Mom, I know you're not leaving. Yeah, I know you're not leaving. North Charleston, I know you're not leaving, but I'll check on you when I can. I have 2 other brothers. We're checking. But we highly encourage everyone, make sure you encourage your loved ones to leave. If you're not going to leave, make sure you leave emergency contact information, those sorts of things. So when we are able to resurface, we can come and check it.
Thank you. Just like you were saying, you know, when the storm does pass, first responders go out. Just imagine all the calls that are already stacked up waiting on them. So that's a lot to take on. Also, I'm gonna pass this question on to Craig Harris and also the fire district, because because you cover this area too. And the question is there a list to put your name or address on only if you decide to stay on the island? Will there be a person, someone to check to help relocate a person if they may be alone or unsure what to do?
Sure. So we touched on that just kind of a little bit ago, but I'll expand on it upon here. So traditionally, we haven't kept and had a good way between either town to have a list of if you're staying. I know in the past that both towns have fielded from people that have let the towns know that, hey, we are staying. And I can kind of leave that to them on how that kind of works for them. But, like I said, we kind of have a general idea of who is and who isn't on the island based on this kind of activity while we're out doing our preparations pre-storm as well too. I think this would be a good time to kind of to touch on if there's a physical limitation or some type of handicap. We will come and assist you. If you need help getting down the stairs to your car, we will do that pre-storm. Does not mean we will be there right that second, but there's a lot of things going on. But you can call the towns, they can relay that information to us, or call the fire district, or call your fire station directly on the island, and we will help you pre-storm do that if you need the assistance. Again, I have to preface that because we have in the past that people call that, I can't get my 3 Doberman pinchers down by myself. Sorry, we have some other things going on. If you need help, we will help you as much as possible too. I say that kind of jokingly, but that is sometimes the things we get. So
is there a way to get a list together of folks who would need assistance on the island?
yes, I know Seabrook was starting to work on that, and we can discuss that with the town as well too about basically points of or gathering information on who needs help or who may not be able to leave, and that is something we've been working on for the last year or so. But then I know Seabrook has started. We're starting to roll the ball on that a little bit, so get a little better idea on that as well.
I'm gonna pass this question over to Capt. Mike Burrell, and also split this up with Mr. Craig Harris here. It's a law enforcement question. During the last hurricane storm evacuation, French Fields closed all of the shops very early on. Is there a reason or a law that prevents stores or restaurants from remaining open until a day or two before the storm?
I'm gonna defer.
Okay, it's not a law, but again, you gotta realize we got employees that work there. And they have to do the same thing. They have to prepare for the storm as well, if that. So we have to have some kind of consideration for our employees on this out. But the good thing is, we got cell phones, communication is the key, right? When we see these things happening, it is our job to make sure that you guys are informed so you can start preparing for these things. Okay. Mentioned questions about a list. That's also something that we're working on, fire department, coming up with some type of communication system where you guys can actually register. But I want you guys to focus about the risk, okay? Not so much focus about whether you need to be on a list to stay on this out. Let's really look at the vulnerabilities that can possibly happen. Born and raised in Charleston, I actually stayed for you. I was in high school. My parents were law enforcement officers. They had to go out and protect the community. And I'm gonna tell you, for those of us who actually slept through Hugo, worked through Hugo, that was very scary. I would never want to see that again. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I encourage you personally, if you see the risk, take our advice and we will, just like you said, we will guide you. But some of us went to Katrina to help out, and that was a travesty. So our point to make communication strong, to get you guys prepared for these storms, train on it, working well with the newscasters.
Since you were here for Hugo, I was too, much older than you. But, I remember clearly with the Isle of Palms closing and then the reopening. And I mean, the hurricanes that we've had since I've been at Kiawah, it's that same feeling. I gotta get back to my house as quickly as I can. Aren't we gonna open it yet? Or is somebody monitoring for looting and vandalism? Can you kind of tell us a little bit about what that after plan
question. I'm pretty sure we all have a lot to say about that. That's a very good question. So yes, that's your question. Yes. Monitoring, yes. Notification to let you guys know when to come back around. Yes. Remember, we're not gonna let you come back on this island if it's not safe. You gotta think about it, power lines, tree downs, everything else. Our job is not only to make sure that you get it off the island safe, it's to make sure you come back on the island safe. Okay? Notifications, that's what I say, it's a good thing. Hopefully, I wish we had cell phone back in Euro days, but now we're a lot better technology. Our job is to keep you guys informed about the recovery part and make it a little more efficient so that you can come and do your own personal assessment of your property. But again, our job is to make sure that you guys enter the island safely. You gotta think about that. So I'm pretty sure some others.
I know both towns have worked, put in some significant work on reopening procedures as well too. It's on lots of different things, whether that's debris removal, actually security, and how people get back in home. I'll tell you just briefly kind of what happens right after a storm passes. So once those kind of winds, specifically for hurricanes, once after those winds subside, the fire district, there is sometimes some assets on the island, but usually the fire district will come back to the island and start what's called a windshield survey. And that is a very brief where we try to get around to as many areas as possible to just do an initial survey of what our damage is. Because that initial windshield survey will basically then tell us what we're going to do for the next, if it's some of these smaller storms, I say that relatively, where we've had some trees down and we've had some I'd say medium flooding as well too. Those are still hurdles for people to kind of come out and still get back on the islands and things. So we start that initial windshield surveys. Again, depending on the severity of the storm, that kicks off different things that might be put into. We could be doing some very quick search and rescue types of things. Specifically, I would give an example of like we were doing our windshield survey and there was a tree through the middle of the house or something like that. That would probably kick off for us something that, hey, we need to get a crew in here to search that. If it's a larger storm like a Hugo, that brings in a whole, don't plan on coming back for a while, because that's a whole larger response from the state and federal response as well too on how we do search and rescue and things like that. So that takes time. Again, we might not know Berkeley Electric's schedule as well too. They have to work on their equipment. So yes, these things, they do take time. And like I said, we have seen where people have just kind of raced back, right after, and we might not necessarily have had power or the water facilities quite up and running. And maybe we haven't been able to clear some of those trees. And then water, as fast as it moves sometimes, it can move very, very slowly sometimes too. So you'll see areas that are flooded that just slowly take time that we can, barely get our fire trucks through and stuff as well.
But you do monitor, there's somebody who's gonna be at the gate to
Yes.
monitor who goes on the island.
Yes, both towns. Yes, both towns have a re-entry procedure in their plans and
That will
help
probably
security.
be at the roundabout.
Yeah, yes, we have a plan for that.
We'll be there.
But trust me, someone will be there. Sure.
We'll be at the roundabout.
I'll be at the roundabout and with the sheriff.
Can I follow up on that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm new to living permanently here, but I'm coming from eastern coastal North Carolina. So I've been through tons and tons and evacuated tons. But we have actually had hurricane entry permits, so that only people who live there could come back. You have to get them ahead of time. Can you do that here or what's the driver's license?
Yeah, you said to show your driver's license, but we'll have the list. When I said, trust me, we're well prepared. No, actually, Chef, we'll eventually just discuss it about a permit system, because that's going back to your earlier discussion about preparation. When you leave, when you prepare for a hurricane, once you leave the island, make sure that you have some type of documentation.
to confirm that you reside on our ID or some type of mail or whatever. Because even with the permit system, you know, you have a lot of anxieties, right? Returning back to the island, a lot of frustration, a lot of people, homeowners, want to know whether their property's up to standing. And quite frankly, motions will play a role in it, so we have to make sure that you bring the proper documentation once you seek re-entry to the island to avoid any hassles, because that's going to happen. Actually, that will happen.
Real good point there. And one of the things that came to mind is if you hypothetically, there's a really bad hurricane category 3, 4, 5. I expect, I mean, it's gonna be closed for a while, coming back, but expect to stay for a while. But remember, Charleston's made up of overpasses and bridges. I mean, DOT's gonna have to come out, I expect to check these bridges and overpasses, make sure they're safe too, not just clear it off. Make sure, I remember I-95, there's a 1,000-year flood. We had to stop in 2 spots down near Ridgeland because the flooding was across the interstate. So DOT had to come out once that water resided to make sure those bridges were safe. Captain, I'm gonna send this question over to you. And it deals with traffic. It says, once I'm off the island, am I forced to follow the flow of traffic? What if I want to go north when everyone is being sent south? That's a good question.
So like they've been talking all day, know your zones. I will tell you this right now. I've been here for 25 years. I've been in traffic, worked for that man right there, Eric Watson, currently work for Chief King. If you travel Betsy Carrison, Bo Hickett, Main Road to Savannah Highway, I don't care which way you turn. Okay, if you go down River Road and you get to Maybank Highway, take a right. Go downtown. If you want to get on the interstate, get on the interstate. If you want to take 17 up through Georgetown, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, where that lady used to live, they always get hit with hurricanes. I'm not going to tell you which way to turn, okay? Because I have just as much stress as you do trying to get out of town, and it's just easier to just lower the stress level. And as long as you're moving in your car, you're going to be happy. If you're sitting in traffic like we were this morning, that's a different story. But we did take care of that. Just know your evacuation routes. Like I said earlier, the storm's hitting in Savannah, I'm not sending you south. Okay, I'll send you out Highway 61 through Somerville to the west or the interstate. Once they reverse the interstate, and they've done a really good job of practicing, go sir.
Yeah, expound on the reverse of the interstate, because I think someone was thinking that all the roads are being mandated to do a certain direction. It only starts on the interstate.
Correct. The only roads that are reversed is I-26.
In this area.
In this area. O'Hickett Road, Betsy Carrison is not going to be reversed. It's going to be inbound and outbound. Just the interstate is reversed. So there will be 6 lanes or 8 lanes leaving Nexton because they moved it further west. So you can get on the interstate downtown and go to North Charleston if you have to. No problem, you can get off. But once you hit Nexton Parkway, where because they moved it up to Somerville, that's where it's all reversed. It's all westbound. Okay. Hopefully that answers everybody's question.
The reason why we say this area, because down the hill, it had 278 gets reversed, but that's a different area. We're gonna open it up for a couple questions before we wrap the session up. Anyone have a question for our experts? Everyone wants to go that bad? Yes, ma'am.
It's sand for sandbags.
Sand for sandbags. The beach?
That's a great response. Yeah, it's wet. I know county government issues sandbags. Understand that's for the entire county. Okay, so I'm not sure what town of Kiawah does, but I can tell you once that process begins, hurricane preparation, we do announce sandbag locations. But as we all know, once we make that announcement, what happens? Everyone runs there and grab it. So, that's it.
I saw online that.
Yes, ma'am, I want to make sure everyone here.
There's some sort of like a rubbery thing that you can fill with water that keeps it, that you can lay that up against your garage door. And that seems like you can empty the water out and then you can just store it somewhere. Yes.
If I get that on Amazon.
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember what website it's on, but it just sounded like a good idea.
But I can tell you real quick, the sandbags work, but once reality is category 3 hurricanes, there's no shelters here in Charleston County. Okay, there's none, there's no shelters qualified above category 3. In other words, we have no place. So anything above category 3, higher, we'll hold that. Sandbags are great to prevent water intrusion to a point, but at some point those sandbags will not work as well. But it's good to help protect your property, but reality is once the hurricane hits a certain level, okay, our best bet is to seek shelter.
We have time for 1 or 2 more questions if you have one for our panelists. Any more door prizes?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's go start with the door prizes. Please thank our panelists. Two weeks ago. All right, we got some good prizes over here. All right, if you get your tickets out. All right. Wow. All right, the first prize goes out to ticket 407-6090. All right, we got a winner over there. Congratulations. Our second prize, this big box right here, battery backup. It's heavy. I'll carry it to your car if you can't take it. All right, the number is 407-6042. Yes, sir. Congratulations. All right, this golf bag also comes with a $200 gift card for Top Golf, along with the bag. All right, you ready for the numbers? 407-6062. 407-6062. All right, congratulations. This also comes with a $200 gift card from Top Golf. Is your house? It's up to you, Chris. All right. All right, the golf bags back on it. They always said it's greener on the other side, right? There we go. All right, here's the last ticket for the golf bag and the $200 gift card to Top Golf. 407-6057. Congratulations, sir. All right. We have one more prize. I was just told we have one more prize. It's a $200 gift card.
Yeah.
Chris, I'm gonna let you pick the last one.
Stir it up, would you please?
Any Hungarians in this room? I'm Hungarian, and I post recipes and stuff on my social media also, but I always love to know if there's another Hungarian. All right, the last one. Number is 407-6073. 407-6073. If they don't show up, we're going to pull another number. Going once. I'll say it again, 407-6073. Going once, going twice, pick another ticket. I never win anything, so I'm happy for you. I have better luck winning the Turkish lotto than I do getting something over here. All right, 407-6020. 407-6020. All right, we have a winner. Congratulations to the winners there. Thank you very much for coming out today. It was a pleasure to be here with you. If you're up early enough, I'm maybe as soon as 4, 5, or 7 in the morning, doing your traffic, giving you updates, and spend a lot of time in the community also. But thank you for coming out.